Hi, everyone. First of all, I have a bit of a flu, so apologies if my voice is kind of all over the place. We'll see how it goes. At the moment, I can make quite low notes if I'm singing a song, but don't worry, I will not sing a song. The other day at our meeting, mentioned about labeling your documents, and today we're talking about resumes, and it's particularly important to label your resume with your name. When you apply for a job, chances are there will be 50 other designers applying for that job. When you send your resume as a PDF, you want them to know exactly which resume is yours. So you get in the habit of putting your name on the file. Don't call your resume resume or document or this week's assignment. Call it, for instance, Louisa McCabe resume. Now, several of you are in the senior project class. Your senior project will go into your portfolio. And if you did senior project last semester, you can just put it in. But for those of you taking it right now, you can't depend on the senior project to fill out your portfolio for this class. Because if you fail senior project, that would mean you also fail portfolio. So for this class, you still need 3 to 6 projects separate from your senior project. At the end of the semester, when your advisor signs off on your senior project, then you include it in your portfolio. Please don't forget this. So your resume. A resume is a document that relays your education, work experience, skills, software expertise, professional affiliations, and a little bit of your interests. And ideally, a whiff of your personality to a potential employer. And it's one page long. By the time we meet on Sunday and Monday, you will have put your resume content in your week 2 folder, and we'll be discussing this in our meetings. And by the way, your week 2 folder will also have your updated projects from the feedback I gave you last week. Now, I say this needs to be a 1-page document. Not yet. Right now, all I care about is you getting all the information in there. The following week, we'll worry about fitting it all onto 1 page. This week is all about the content. You will need your website on your resume. If you don't have a dedicated website yet, sign up for a freebie portfolio site like I mentioned last week. For the purposes of portfolio class and for someone just starting out, a freebie is fine. Later, you can get your own domain name if you don't have one already. And the freebie sites are things like WordPress, Behance, Coraflot, Cargo Collective, Carbon Made, Dribbble. If you just Google it, there's a zillion of them will come up. Some are better than others. A good standby is Behance, just because Behance is recognized by the industry as a go-to creative portfolio website portal. And it's kind of clunky, and I don't like it, but the industry does for some reason. So that's, if you can't think of anything else, just go to Behance, Behance. If you already have a portfolio site and you have uploaded projects there, make sure you replace them with your new and improved and expanded ones as the semester rolls out. At this point, you might want to start taking some notes. On your resume, you can include a profile. A profile is like an About Me section, just right up at the top, and it's kind of like 2 sentences no longer. And you want to tell employers who you are and what you have to offer, not what I want, not what I'm looking for. You're basically explaining to them how you're going to make their life easier. So first of all, the basics would be you use words like technical ability, which is high, and creative, which is your ability to come up with new things, unlike some AI programs I could imagine. It's also an opportunity to hint at your personality. Are you a reserved person, organized, energetic, thoughtful, driven? Give them a hint as to why you are an interesting person to talk to. You will be including a cover letter with your resume. You can pour your heart out there. Give them much more detail about your background and ambitions. On the resume itself, keep it short and snappy. I will get to cover letters in a minute. Not everyone likes profiles on a resume. I like them because it's an opportunity to encapsulate where you're coming from. But if all you're going to say is, I'm a team player and I want a job, don't bother with a profile. Everyone says that, nobody reads it. If you're making the effort to write a profile, make it memorable. A profile is not a requirement in this class. It's your choice. I like them. Let's talk about it. List all of your software skills, including web coding and any web templates that you might be familiar with, like Squarespace or Wix or Weebly or WordPress or Twitter Bootstrap or any of these things. When you mention Adobe products, you don't have to repeat Adobe lots of times. You make a little heading and you say Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, blah, blah, blah. And then for Microsoft, you have a Microsoft heading, and then you say Word, PowerPoint, Excel, blah, blah, blah. And then Google, make a little Google hit. You don't have to repeat Google, Google, Google over and over and over again. Once they know where they are, you don't have to keep repeating it. Include any less mainstream software like Affinity products, or Toon Boom, or Handbrake, or Figma. Actually, Figma's pretty mainstream these days, but you know what I mean, just the sort of non-Adobe stuff. You also do not need to include their logos. Logos tend to pull attention away from your information because they're brightly colored and familiar and beautifully designed. But it's not beautifully designed by you. So just put the name, no logos. Your resume is for creating your brand and not reinforcing the brand of big software companies. Put your education first, unless you have lots of design experience. You don't need to put in the date of when you started your education. All you need is to include your expected graduation and then put the month and the year. If it takes you a long time to graduate, they don't need to know that. The important thing is that you are going to graduate. If you don't have a lot of design experience, be detailed in the experience that you do have. Talk about the industry you were designing for. Be specific about their projects and your responsibilities. Did you do their social media? Did you create a brochure? Did you do their logo? Did you work on their website? Be specific. Create 2 sections on your resume, one called Design Experience and another called Other Experience. Put lots of detail in the design section and not very much detail in the Other Experience section. The focus should mainly be on your design work. However, there's an exception. If you've had an entire other career and you are an older student and you're moving into design, that's a very interesting background to bring into a design job. So if you've been years in another industry, you can provide more detail about your other career. One recruiter I spoke to said that businesses are looking for young designers that have more than just their education and work experience on their resumes. They want to see interest in your profession outside of your working day. How do you do this? Well, you can join a professional design organization. Do it this afternoon if you haven't already. If you're doing animation, it's SIGGRAPH, advertising, the One Club, the Art Directors Club, or 4As. For graphic design, it's the Type Directors Club or AIGA. For illustrators, the Society of Illustrators. For magazine designers, the Society of Publication Design, I think it's called. And there are others. I put a list on Blackboard. You pay for the privilege of joining these organizations. But as a student, you get a discount. So it's a good idea to get your membership while it's cheaper and see if this is the organization for you. As soon as you join, put it on your resume. Then go to an event. Check it out. See if you want to volunteer to help out. These organizations are great networking opportunities for meeting people in the business, hearing about work opportunities, getting your face around town, and it shows a prospective employer that you are interested in your design career beyond just making a living. The other thing is we are so computer bound, particularly in our industry, and frequently if you get a job or an internship, you're sitting at your kitchen table talking to a computer all day long. So these organizations are very good for, getting yourself stuck into the industry and being known and knowing the right people. But it's also just a chance to talk to people. Talk to people not on a screen, not on your phone, not on a computer. And, remember what it's like to interact with people in the physical world. And this is important because people get depressed. If you live your life on screen, you're just never near anybody. So go to an event, meet people, give them your business card, have a couple of drinks. It's important in this world to be aware of where you are in terms of being off your phone. Phones are great. Everybody loves phones, but there's loads of other stuff out there as well. I'll talk more about this during the semester. On your resume, back to your resume, mention any clubs you belong to in school. If you haven't joined one yet, there is the Ink Club for illustration, the Art and Design Club, and sometimes there's a photography club. I don't know if there is one this semester, but check it out. And sometimes new clubs just sort of pop up and they come and they go. So if you have any questions, ask your professors, find out what's happening. When I was physically in New York, I helped out with the Art and Design Club, and we went to Paris. And sometimes people do cool trips. They go to advertising agencies, or they'll go to a typewriters club event. Again, it's a way of getting out of the screen and making yourself known in the industry. And I know a bunch of you are keen photographers. So if you can find the club, if you can't find the club, start a club. There's actually money available for this kind of thing, so check it out. And if you are in any student clubs, or you're a member of the student government, or you work on the student newspaper, put those on the resume. Anything to make you more known to the people you're talking to. And also there are meetups. And if you don't know what a meetup is, it's where like-minded people get together to talk about mutual interests. In this case, if your interest is design or photography or advertising, Google it and you will find a design meetup or a photography meetup or an advertising meetup. And you go and you put it on your resume, and I know some of you have done this already. I went to a meetup back in the day when I was in New York, and it was about UI UX, which was then new. And I met a bunch of people, and there was people actually recruiting at this meetup. So if I had been a young designer just about to graduate, I could have put on my resume right there. This is what I mean about going out and meeting people. Opportunities pop up, but you got to be out there in order to take advantage of them. They also had free drinks. Okay, so your resume is a design opportunity where you can show off your creative skills just as much as any other project in your portfolio. I once got a job interview purely because of the design of my resume, which was crazy, and I got the job. A former student of mine worked as a receptionist in a doctor's office, but then her boss saw her resume and liked her logo so much that she ended up designing stuff for him. Design of your resume is important. However, bigger companies will often want to read your resume with an optical scanner. This is much easier with Word documents. So for this class, you will design a resume, but you'll also have a simple Word or Pages version. As you assemble all your information for your resume, put that info on your LinkedIn profile and make sure your website is linked there as well. So all these sites are talking to each other. For each of these channels, designed resume, scanner-friendly resume, LinkedIn resume, it is highly advisable that you include words that are relevant to the job you want for SEO, basically, like digital and graphic design and Adobe, typography, social media. Recruiters will search for these keywords, like on LinkedIn in particular or on Behance. I've posted a list of scanner and SEO-friendly keywords on Blackboard in course materials. Make sure these words are included somewhere in your resume and your LinkedIn profile, and it will help recruiters find you. And design for next week, in addition to updating your project, you will design your resume. So that's for the following week after we've gone through with a fine-tooth comb all of your information. This will include logo design, which is now your own brand. Logos are generally your initials, but not always. Sometimes students prefer just a nice type treatment of your name with an interesting font choice or choices. It's up to you. The goal here is to make the resume look like a designer's resume and not like an accountant's resume. For inspiration, I've posted some sample resumes from previous portfolio classes on Blackboard in course materials. There are also plenty of ideas on the internet. Keep in mind, you want your resume to be easily understood and clear. So try to avoid really small or light type or gray type. I know gray type looks very classy and it's very trendy, but for some people it's just really hard to read. So you don't want to push those people away. I generally advise that you use at least 11-point type for most fonts for your body copy on your resume. Don't go too crazy. Think clean, classy, creative, strong, professional. These are due next week. If you have designed your resume already, I will discuss it with you when we meet one-on-one. Now, a word about cover letters. You need to write a cover letter for next week. You are designers and you're used to telling a story visually. In your cover letter, you need to tell your story in words. It's an opportunity to flesh out your resume. Please write a general cover letter based on tips in the article. Have your designed resume and logo and written cover letter ready for next weekend along with your updated projects. We haven't talked about AI yet, and we're going to have an actual session, and I'm thinking about doing it live just because it's such a big topic. Last semester, I said everyone could use ChatGPT to write their cover letters and then to edit it in order to make it not sound like ChatGPT. The problem was every cover letter read pretty much exactly the same. They're very dense. They're very kind of academic sounding. It doesn't sound natural at all. And all of them said at the end of the letter, and in conclusion, I am looking for the job that you're looking for. Almost nobody writes like that. It's almost like it's something from 30 years ago. So I'm not going to say don't use ChatGPT, but if it sounds like a computer, you're just going to have to start all over again. Because the thing is, if I can spot it, you know that people out there are going to be able to spot it. So honestly, I would try and write it from your heart. And this is an outpouring of you. I'm really want your job, and this is why I want it. And I'm not a computer speaking, I'm a human being, and I'm young and I have new ideas, and I'm not, AI is basically based on all the ideas that have come up right up to now. But I'm young and I've got loads of ideas that haven't been done before. I know this is a little complicated. Basically, if you're going to use ChatGPT, it better not sound like ChatGPT. Otherwise, you have to start all over again. The skill of writing is an important one for a designer, and it's getting more and more important because using AI is all about using the proper words. But again, we'll talk about that more later. I look forward to seeing your resumes and your updated work, and I see you Sunday and Monday. See you later. Bye.